So before we go into the detail about some of that kind of stuff, because there's some videos that you've done over the years that I really kind of love. How did you get into filmmaking?
Yeah, it's a weird one. It has two strands to it. One when I was very young, and one when I was a young man with very little direction. So I went to Winniebank School, and we had a visit from, we believe, my dad told me it was Neil Kinnock, the Labour leader at the time. But I wasn't bothered about this. He was doing the politician thing, going table to table. However, there was a guy, big ENG news camera on his shoulder, and it just stuck in my head of like, oh, that's quite an interesting thing. But yeah, the other stuff that I wanted to do when I was a kid, be a pilot or all that type of thing. But there was always this fascination with cameras and stuff. My dad took photos. My dad had cine cameras, things like that. There's a picture of me with a little camera when I'm little, and it just sort of like sat there for quite a while. And then I was 19, and I'd really lost my direction. I'd dropped out of college. I'd had a year out working full time at my job at the time in the kitchen, and I went back to college, and it was like, well, pick something that looks good rather than what everyone else is doing. And there was like, it makes perfect sense now being sat here of what I picked, which was media studies, English language and literature, and business studies. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like, oh, well, you must have had the foundations for that. I was awful at business studies. I couldn't have the context for it and stuff. But I had the context for all of the writing and all of the analysing and making films. So all of a sudden you're talking about these very basic film terms, mise en scène, framing, like narrative, things like that. And it just made sense to me. It just landed, and I understood it, and I understood it very quickly and very easily. And I got frustrated that the people on my course didn't quite get that. They were battling as if I was battling in business studies. So that was a bit of a strange one. So from there, I just did what instantly on a tiny little handy cam, and I managed to get one of the first IMAX, the coloured ones.
Yeah, I remember.
College, because I was one of the older students. They trusted me. I don't know whether they should have done, but they trusted me to have this for the summer, and so I was learning Final Cut Pro, and I was interviewing people like my mates ran club nights, so I was interviewing like Tom Hingley from Inspired Carpets and stuff like that, and there was always this thing about, oh, you've asked some really interesting questions there. So I was just getting the bug, really. And then I went and did a production degree at Teesside University. And again, sort of like just kept that going, where it was like getting involved with anything and everything and being a pain, and like always being outside my lecturer's door with questions and opinions. Opinions were the worst ones. So it's like, they knew that I was coming and that I had something to say. And then from there, really, it's like a really intense 2-year period where by the time I finished my second year, I'm working on stuff that the uni's bringing in commercially or non-commercially that they were doing. And I'm working on that. And then that put me into an opportunity for a job. So it's quite the whole thing will have happened in like maybe 4 years. Wow. From picking up like what is a consumer camera and just filming to, yeah, you're working professionally.
Because I think what's quite interesting though, it's the balance and the transition from when you have a passion, whatever the passion is. Yours is obviously filmmaking. You discover it, and it's kind of just what you want to do all the time, and it's what you get your kicks off. And then how did you then transition that through to starting a business? So you said, did you go into a job first?
Yeah. So I went into a job up in Newcastle, and I was there for about 9 years, but I'd started as like a production assistant. I was only meant to be there for the summer. It was only like a summer job. But by the end of the first week, I was there full time, and like I'd shown them things that they'd maybe missed, and not in a bad way. Like they knew what they were doing, and they were a decent company. But it was that thing of like, it was that fresh perspective and that energy, just to be like, oh well, what would have taken a day to have done, you've done in a couple of hours, or like you've got your head around these little bits, and yeah, it's like then you start making your mistakes and stuff. But you'd already sort of progressed to a point, and then by the time I go back to uni, I'm being sent off to China and Italy and Portugal.
Wow.
So I'm going to lecturers saying, well, I can't come in next week. And like, oh, you've got to come in and do your third year and you've got to do this. I'm like, yeah, but I can't. And like, so why can't you come in? I'm like, I've got to go to China to film for Axel Nobel. And they're like, yeah, we didn't hear this, that type of thing. I think enough times elapsed for this to go on. But then the other stuff where it's like, oh, I can't come in. Oh, why now? It's like, oh, because I'm working for Tyne Tees. We're doing a documentary, so I'm not going to be in. And it's like they were quite supportive with that. That was cool, but it was like quite a steep learning curve. And the only thing looking back was that because of how steep that allowed me to sort of really progress. But the mistakes that I made were pretty catastrophic.